Yes guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So you've probably clicked on this video because you want to be a firefighter and you're interested in what the 8-week program looks like. I can promise you that if you watch to the end of the video, you'll have a much better understanding about the program and what's involved and what's expected of you as a person or as a firefighter in fact. So if you are not aware, this part of the recruitment process is at the very end. So this is the 8 weeks before you actually get onto the fire station itself. So this part is after you've done your online tests, your interview, your medical, your practical tests, your written tests, things like that. I discussed about all these tests on a previous video, the one I linked up here anyway, so make sure you watch that video definitely actually before you watch this one. So this is like the final 8 weeks. This is kind of the last hurdle before you get onto station. A very important 8 weeks, a very stressful and very demanding 8 weeks, to put it bluntly. That's how I found it personally. But yeah, if I can do it, I suppose any of you guys can. Now, due to the length of the video, I am going to split this up into 2 parts. Depending on how this one goes, depending on how the likes go on the video, depending on what you guys want in the comments, then I'll release part 2. If the demand's there, I'm happy to do it. If you are new to the channel, then I advise you watch all my previous videos. So on this channel, we do weekly videos on the fire service, kind of giving you guys that want to be firefighters advice, tips, things that you probably didn't know before. So I'd advise, if you do want to be a firefighter, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and just go and watch all my previous videos. There's probably at the moment between 5 and 10 videos, so it's definitely worth it, and we are releasing one new video every week, so that's another reason that you should subscribe. And people ask me why I'm doing these kind of videos, and the main fact is just to kind of help you guys. When I applied, there wasn't a lot of information on the fire service, so now I've kind of went through it and had experience in going through the recruitment process, and the kind of first year or so on station, I'm just giving back to you guys my personal opinion, my feedback, to kind of give back what I didn't have when I was applying. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you kind of respect me doing this. I don't get paid to do this. This is just kind of what I do off my own back in my own free time, as I enjoy helping other people and kind of pushing them to what they want and their dream career. So yeah, the first part of this 8-week program, we're going to be discussing the first 1 to 4 weeks. Now, it is important to note that this isn't in any particular order. We actually got split up into 2 halves, so we had 10 of us and then 10 of us in another group, and then we all done different things on different weeks. Some weeks we've done the same thing, which is what I'll go into in a minute, but the majority of the time you were kind of split up. You had your 10 and then your 10, and that's kind of how they divided you up. So for example, if one week we done hose, the next week we done RTC. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be like it for you, but you probably will cover these areas within your 8 weeks. So don't take what I say verbatim, just take it kind of how it is, and it might change. One thing that I will mention now is that if you see this sign anywhere in this video or future videos, it's kind of me saying to you guys that if I was in your position, I'd be taking notes on what I'm saying at this particular point. Enjoy the video. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So yeah, week 1 and week 2 is what they call hose, pumps and ladders. So this is a very demanding week. It's kind of your first 2 weeks into the development program. This is where you are with the other 10 people, so there is all of you in one group. So this will involve kind of hose scenarios, ladder drills, pumping drills. Now, from my personal experience, this is very physically demanding. It is very tiresome on the body. It kind of like sends your body into shock if you're not somebody that's been training previously. Even I was training before I was going in the gym every day and running and stuff, but it's a different kind of exercise. You're wearing kind of your fire kit, which isn't light. You're carrying around hoses, you're running, you're kind of slow walking as well, jogging. You're doing a lot of kind of like different things that you wouldn't normally do. Your body's in different positions. When you're rolling out the hose, you kind of bent over with your kind of chest towards the ground. Just something different really, that kind of your body you'll almost work muscles that you didn't know were there. That's what I thought anyway. That's what I thought anyway, sorry. So yeah, you'll go home, your body will be aching. I remember my body was really badly aching, my back was hurting, but you just gotta keep going, man. Eventually, after the first few days, your body does get used to it. Yeah, so within these 2 weeks as well, you'll have a pumping lecture from one of the instructors. Now this will kind of, I think, if I remember correctly, this was the majority of the day. It's a big lecture, it's something that you have to know. It's kind of about how the pump works at the back of the fire engine, how it works, how it operates, what's inside the pump, what makes it do what it does, what doing what you do to the pump will affect certain parts of the pump, things like that really, kind of the theoretical side behind the pump. Now this is a very kind of intense day, as I mentioned just, there's a lot to learn, and you might not take it all in, hence why they advise you when you finish to go back and revise what you've learned today. We all learn different ways, we all learn differently, so yeah, whatever you can do to try and retain that information, because you will be assessed on the pump as well. You'll have questions about the pump, and for upcoming assessments you'll have to know this stuff, so yeah. Other things you have to start learning as well is kind of your ladder drills and your ladder commands. I know a lot of you here that are watching this are actually in the fire cadets, so you probably already know the basics with that kind of stuff. So you'll obviously have to learn your ladder commands when you're pitching a ladder, when you're pumping as well, you have to kind of know your role in the pumping drill, whether you're on the hose, the branch, or on the pump, and what your role is, how to engage the pump, how to kind of turn from a hose reel to a jet, things like this really, kind of the basics of the pump that you'll be learning in these first 2 weeks. And then as you progress, you'll start kind of pitching ladders, but then you'll be taking a hose reel up with you, so you'll be working with water while you're working off a ladder, or when you get to the top of the ladder and into the building, you'll haul aloft like a main jet with a line, and things like this really. They call it combi drills, so it's kind of putting everything that you've learned, ladders, pumping, and then you'll kind of turn it all into one drill, one scenario, so it all kind of flows. And now you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, this isn't like, it doesn't sound as hard as what you thought it was, but it's a lot of running, it's a lot of physical days within the first 2 weeks, definitely. So not as much classroom work as there is in the next 6 weeks, which is what I'll talk about later on, but it's definitely like important that you're hydrated, that you're eating correctly, that you're getting enough sleep as well, but then you've also got to revise as well at the same time in the night time. It's when I say it's very intense, these are the kind of the reasons why it is intense. So yeah, that's week 1 and 2, hose pumps and ladders. Now next we're going to go into week 3. Now this is where I put RTC, which stands for road traffic collisions. Now some of you watching this may be or may not be aware that as firefighters we do attend kind of car crashes, or they're called RTCs I've just mentioned. Now these are things that we have to deal with properly. There's a lot of hazards and risks that are involved with cars. Every car is different, especially now with electric vehicles coming out, there's a lot more challenges that we face with those. So yeah, let's talk about RTC in week 3. Now this is only for 1 week. Your assessments will be on the end of the week, so Thursday or Friday. Now when you first start this week, you'll have a little bit of classroom input, as it's important to know what tools you'll be using. As I say, some of you may already know, you've got like the jaws of life that they're called, the spreaders, there's the hydraulic ram, there's a few different tools that you use in RTC. So the first few days will be kind of led by an instructor who will explain the tools to you, explain how they work, explain what to do, explain what not to do. The safety criticals involved, which are very important to remember when you have your assessment, and in general, to be honest, to keep yourself safe. You'll learn about the operating pressures, so like kind of the pressure that the tool works at. All these things that you need to know really, so you know kind of the limitations of when you're working and what you can and can't do with the certain tools, because they are very good tools, but they can't cut through everything, or they can't spread everything, so you've got to expose the car in different ways, which is what you'll learn in the first week, all these different methods and stuff, which is quite interesting, to be honest. Yes guys, just wanted to say now that we're just over halfway in the video, if you are enjoying the video at the moment, it would be hugely appreciated if you could like and subscribe to the channel, as it motivates me to do more and more of these videos. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Scenarios throughout the week that you'll do will be kind of like they'll put cars on their side, cars on their roof, and then cars on all 4 wheels, and you'll kind of, they call it the team approach. You'll go through the team approach and you'll kind of work your way through extricating the casualty from the car if you need to, and what to do, what not to do, what tools to use. A lot of it to begin with is kind of practical demonstration from the instructors, and then you'll get your chance to go on the tools. The more you can get on the tools, the better, because it gives you more kind of experience for when you come to your assessment at the end of the week. So yeah, try and get on the tools as much as you can, in my opinion. Now, when I previously just touched on safety criticals, now these are things that you should definitely listen to in this video. So these are things that will, if you do them, you'll fail your assessment. Now if you fail, you'll get back course to the next course, the next course after you, if there's enough spaces. I've heard of situations where people have been back course to the next course because they failed, and there hasn't been enough spaces, so they've had to wait another course, which then you're looking at 4 months, maybe 4 months plus if you get unlucky. So yeah, it's very important to listen to these safety criticals. Now with RTC, the kind of safety criticals you're looking at are being on the safe side of the tool. So when you're cutting a car, for example, you've got your tool here. You want to make sure that when you're cutting, because what you'll find is when you're turning the handle to cut, you won't be able to move the tool. The tool will just move itself in whatever direction it wants to. Now if you keep cutting and you're pushing that tool against you, and the car's over this side, and then you're in between the car and the tool, that is safety critical, so you will fail on that. So that is something you need to be aware of. Another thing as well will be having your visor down on your helmet. So every time you step onto the scene, the scenario, make sure that your visor is down, because you've got your eye visor and then you've got your face visor. So make sure your eye one's definitely down, and when you're cutting, especially when you're cutting, because you will fail if you don't do this as well, keep your main visor down. So yeah, they're just 2 safety criticals that I can remember off the top of my head. I'm sure when you go through your development program, they will explain to you what not to do. They're not trying to catch you out with anything. This is something that you should know. They're not trying to catch you out. They're just kind of making sure that they know that you're safe when using the tools and that you listen to what they've said, almost. So then, week 4. Now, I've got down here on my laptop, because I've got a note, you see, on my laptop of the courses and stuff, of the orders and stuff that I want to talk about it in. We've got here week 4, and I've called it a mismatch week. So this is a week where you'll probably have on your course where you kind of do different things on individual days, such as prevention work, protection work. You'll have kind of the union and the firefighter charity come in to give you a talk and kind of explain what they have to offer for you. In my brigade we do water rescue training, so you'll have a day where you go and do some water rescue training, your voluntary rescue swim, which is good. You'll have a day doing a motorway and railway lecture led by one of the instructors. That's just classroom based, but you will have assessments on that, or there will be assessments in the future that relate back to that, so it's definitely worth taking notes on these kind of lectures. And then you have a day doing, well we did anyway, doing safety working at height, so we had to go to a different station because they've got the proper facilities, and you'll kind of demonstrate using a roof ladder, carrying a casualty down from a ladder from a window, and kind of using different work restraints and kind of working safely at height and potential scenarios that you could be in. This is a good day as well. As I say, it's only for 1 day, so make sure when you finish this course, and hopefully you pass, when you get onto station, some of this equipment you may have only looked at once, so make sure you keep refreshing, keep going back over it. Whereas, like as I mentioned, the first 2 weeks you're doing hose pumps and ladders, so you might be more familiar with the pump than you are with the safety work in the high gear, because you've only done 1 day. So that's a bit of a kicker, but make sure when you get to station you put in the work, and then eventually you'll learn. And when I talk about prevention and protection, this is just part of the brigade that I work for, so it's kind of the way that we kind of do things to make the brigade more, or the area more safer, stronger and healthier. Now there's different ways we can do protection and prevention, for example. So prevention is kind of what can we do to prevent incidents happening, fires happening, car crashes happening. What work can we do that can kind of mitigate that from happening further down the line, such as we call them safe and well, so it's like home visits, putting up smoke alarms, doing safety checks in homes, SSRIs, which are kind of going to your high-rise buildings, making sure that you know the layout, making sure you know where the hydrant is, seeing if there's any risks involved, any potential asbestos, things like that. And then next, obviously, your protection. So protection can come in different ways. The main thing is kind of making businesses feel safer and kind of stronger, especially with fire safety. We call these safe and strong visits, so we'll go in and we'll kind of ask them whether they need our help or whether they've got any questions, and we'll get information that we need to get and kind of put it on our system so we know more information about that business on our kind of local patch, on our area. So these lectures will kind of just be reiterating these points and what we do as a fire service to kind of hit home and hit these targets. They are just kind of lecture based sessions, nothing real practical in these, just kind of classroom work. As I say, it might be half a day each, it might be a day each, it depends on your brigade, it depends on where you are in the country. Okay guys, so that is the first 4 weeks of the 8-week development program. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. I hope you've enjoyed the previous videos. If you haven't, make sure you watch them. This one is just part 1. The next thing I'll do is part 2, if the demand's high enough. If we can get, let's say, 20 to 30 likes, if we can do that, if we can smash that, then I'll be happy to release part 2. And I think part 2 will be a lot more beneficial for you guys, as there's more interesting parts, like the course gets a lot more interesting in part 2. I hope this video has provided value for you. I hope you've learned something which you didn't know before. I hope you're enjoying the videos as they're coming. I'm trying my best to release one every week at least. Hopefully, potentially maybe even 2 a week if the demand's there. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know in the comments if you've got any feedback for myself, any videos that you want to see. You can follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok, which will be in the link in the description. Message me on there if you think you want to as well. But yeah guys, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you all have a good day or night wherever you are.